modern digital movie theaters and their lack of masking. This is a problem that I've seen in Austin, Texas here, in a lot of the Cinemark theaters, some of the AMC theaters. Cinemark particularly, they've just decided it's a policy that they're no longer going to have curtains in their movie theaters anymore. They're no longer going to properly mask their films anymore. So it's a problem that there have been a lot of articles written on the internet about it in the past few years. I mean, the earliest article I've seen from this are 2014, 2015. And it goes on to this day. It seems like there's been no change in the policy of these movie theaters. In fact, people have written to AMC, to other theaters, and the responses that they have gotten back, I think, are very interesting. I'd like to talk about it. And it's a problem that a lot of people will say, you're nitpicking, this is not a big deal. Though, to be honest, when you're paying $15 or $20 sometimes literally that amount to go to a movie, I think it is a big deal in some ways. But I think in other ways, this is just a small way in which they're blowing the movie theater experience. And I'm gonna go through that. So, but first of all, I've got to describe the problem, because I think most the average moviegoers go into a movie theater and they don't understand what's going on. They understand that something looks sloppy and something looks unfinished, but I don't think people understand the whole masking. So, masking. What curtains? There are a couple different formats which films have always been presented in theatrically. It's been standardized as a movie theater, theatrical films in 35 millimeter days, either being flat. A film is described or 1:85:1, which is kind of a more taller type of an image, or scope. Scope, also known as anamorphic, 2.39:1, 2.45:1, a wide, Panavision anamorphic widescreen, which is a much wider image. And so what has been happening, what happened previously in the old days of 35 millimeter is that you would have curtains which would either come in on the sides or come in on the bottom and would mask off the blank areas of a screen when it showed either a movie that was too tall or too wide. You'd have things on the top and bottom. And what's been going on here recently with digital cinema, with digital movie theaters, with movie theaters that are projecting a video from a file and not in 35 millimeter, is that basically they've gotten rid of the curtains in their theater, and they just have a bare screen, and you will watch a movie, mainly a scope movie, an anamorphic film, with black bars on the top and bottom of the entire movie. You will watch black bars like you would at home on a television screen, on a 16:9 television screen that has black bars when you're watching, a big, anamorphic film. You'll go to a movie theater and you will have this type of experience. Now, people have written to movie theaters, and the responses that they get back from these movie theaters are uniform. That's uniformly that this is now a new policy, that in new digital cinema installations that they have done away with the curtains, because the curtains are a remnant of 35 millimeter days where the aperture mask, the basically the hole that is cut that allows the 35 millimeter film to be ejected, was kind of ragged and it needed curtains. Now, according to the movie theaters, with the crisp digital projection, it can project clean black lines, crisp. It almost feels like a lot of these marketing PR emails that people have been sent. A lot of them, like, they use, like, digital cinema projector jargon. It seems like they've been handed these lines from, like, Christie or Sony, and they're like, we'll just throw them in this email. That modern digital projectors project crisp black lines, and so you don't need curtains anymore because the screen is completely black, the movie theater is completely black, and the audience will not notice any of this stuff because it's just perfect black, and you can't see the black bars on the top or the sides because everything's perfect. And in my experience, maybe in a perfect world, in a perfectly controlled theater experience where the video projector is of the requisite brightness and the light levels in the theater are perfect, maybe that's the case. Maybe modern digital projectors don't need curtains, but I've never been in a theater where that's been the case. The black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen always are not pure black. They are kind of a grayish thing, the light kind of semi-blackish gray, and they're obvious. And you notice them throughout the film. You notice them a little bit more or less depending upon what's going on in the screen, but you notice it. And also the light levels in the theater contribute to it. It washes out parts of this black area on the screen. And it makes for a really sloppy looking experience that looks like you're watching a big television screen. It's like, I have a video projector at home and I see the black bars at the top and the bottom. And it's like, why don't I sit home and just watch it on my projector, with an audience of one or two, maybe my wife or whatever. And it's ridiculous. I've never been in a theater that's been properly. The only theaters with digital cinema that I've seen work are the Alamo Drafthouse theaters where they still have curtains and they properly mask the thing. With curtains, this problem is fixed. You crop off those black bars on the top or bottom or sides with curtains that can either move horizontally or vertically, and it's perfect. No problem, and you get a beautiful, non-distracted image that has been done. Now, some people are saying, "Oh, you're fiddly. This is just a nitpicking thing," and I will acknowledge that. Yeah, perhaps that's true. But it is kind of like going to a restaurant where wires are hanging from the ceiling. It's an unfinished, sloppy experience. And all these Cinemark theaters, the chain that has really been gung-ho on getting rid of the curtains, all of these Cinemark theaters, they've done this thing where they've done full theaters now that they've replaced all of the regular movie theater chairs with these recliners, these luxury loungers. I've done other videos on the luxury loungers, whole thing I've taken video on the luxury loungers and gone through it with that. And so now you're in this kind of replication of a Barco lounger. You're watching this digital video with black bars on the screen. And it feels like you're in your house, only you're in your house with 100 other people now. And it's kind of like trying to replicate the home experience, only the home experience will never be as comfortable. The theater experience will never be as comfortable as the home experience. The fact that you can, come in from the backyard and get a sandwich or a pizza or a beer and sit down and watch the movie, at any time you want. And this, I really, after coming to think about it, I think that the putting, these plush chairs in the theaters is a big mistake. And it's just another thing where I think there's just nobody with a brain running these movie theaters. And there's just nobody, one of the arguments for getting rid of these getting rid of the curtains in theaters is that it's too much mechanics. It's too many problems for people to properly, change the curtains. And movie theaters are automatic, so let's just have a big theater screen and control everything digitally. The movie theaters start and the show start and begin automatically. Digital, everything's controlled from a hard drive, from a playlist, and that's it. Okay, so meanwhile, think about it. This doesn't make sense. Think about this for a second. A new theater with these plush Barco loungers. They've gotten rid of the chains and the motors that drive these curtains, but then they've replaced the simple chairs with hundreds. In one movie theater location, they've replaced maybe like 8 or 9 curtain gear chain motor assemblies with hundreds of Barco lounger chairs, which are motorized devices, which, what kind of maintenance are those going to need when 6 or 8 months from now, the motors go out? Okay, maybe the motors don't go. I don't know the longevity and what they're looking at for these chairs, but these chairs are going to require maintenance. They're not going to work on their own. Imagine, okay, the motor might not go up, but imagine if something shorts out. Maybe, what if the wires weren't put in there properly? What if the movement of these things going up and down? What if somebody's a little bit too rough on them? What if somebody bounces up and down? And what if some issue causes these chairs to die? And now you've got mechanics, you've got people, and they're all, by the way, they're all reserved seating. So what if somebody reserves a seat in a chair that's screwed up and the theater is sold out? And, now we've got a whole incident where we've got a recliner that the motorized doesn't work anymore. Yeah, I mean, it seems like to me they've replaced a maintenance schedule headache of these curtains with 20 or 30 times the maintenance issues of these damn Barco lounger motorized chairs, which could flip out at any time. And now you've got people working at the theater trying to get people new chair, I mean, everything right now is perfect because in a lot of these theaters, the luxury loungers are only, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months old. They're not 24, 36. They're not, I don't know the whole maintenance schedule of these recliners, but to me, it seems like they're a maintenance headache as opposed to the curtains, which, were just, were an issue or something that has to be done. But, I think that the lack of the curtains, the recliners, I think it's just the decline of these theaters. And I think the reason why they're declining and I would argue it's not the prices, just like everybody, I would like the movie theater experience to be cheaper. Okay. I'd like a cheaper ticket. But I don't think reducing prices is the answer. I don't think putting luxury loungers in the theater is the answer. I think the reason why movie theater attendance is going down is the exact reason why this crap is going on with the curtains, these ridiculous Barco loungers that are going to cause maintenance headaches that make the curtains look like Sunday school. I think it's just a lack of taste. You go into these movie theaters, even a Cinemark, which has a kind of certain gaudiness when you go into the lobby and you do this. And I look around and I realize, this sticks in my head. I feel like I'm going into a place that has been designed by somebody who does not even love movies, who does not love, and who just doesn't love movies. Who hasn't gone through the 80s and the 90s and it's not even just like a hipster thing. It's just like, you don't really love movies, You'll see the little pictures of Marlon Brando and Marilyn Monroe and stuff. But I mean, the whole experience of going to the movies, of what you need when you go to the movies, the trashy food, all of this stuff, it's missing, that what movie theaters really need, what the theater chains really need is they need like a Johnny Ive type. They need a designer. Maybe they need a hipster. Maybe they need somebody like the Alamo Drafthouse. To me, the Alamo Drafthouse, call it what you will, but I think you can feel that the people behind the Alamo Drafthouse love movies. And when you walk into the lobby of an Alamo Drafthouse, like there's one Alamo Drafthouse nearby that is designed. The lobby is themed after Planet of the Apes, and you walk in and there's this gigantic lawgiver statue, and the walls are lined with Planet of the Apes posters, and it's you really feel that this place, this edifice has been designed by people who love movies. And that's why the Alamo Drafthouse is packed. I mean, here in Austin, Texas. Okay, of course, it's hipsters, it's a certain scene, it's a certain group, and the Alamo Drafthouse kind of fosters this sense of togetherness, of collectivism. They have this whole shtick, this whole marketing gimmick in the theaters that be quiet, and they have these ads, be quiet and be quiet and be quiet. And it's a gimmick, and I mean it's a bit of a gimmick because their whole business model is these people that are dressed in black running around in front of you while you're watching the movie, while you order food. And sometimes they'll, give you a plate of food. It's like, I didn't even order that. And you have to argue with them while you're watching the movie, and you're like whisper arguing in the dark with them. But you tolerate that because it's not that big of a hassle. Because it's just the overall experience is so great. Is so wonderful at a Drafthouse theater. And they're going through their birth pains as well because they're becoming a big chain and they're standardizing everything, and they're putting things in a box, and they're sending it out to New York and Yonkers and California and Milwaukee and Atlanta and South Carolina and North Carolina and all over they're putting the Drafthouse experience in a little box. They're freeze drying the Alamo Drafthouse experience, and they're exporting it all over the USA. And there's birth pains, but still, even with those birth pains, they're still they start with a sense of taste. Because movie theater, I think the movie theater experience has to be an emotional experience. You have to feel like you could pay $25 a ticket to go into this thing. And it's not about 3D. It's not about bullshit like that, but it has to be like you're going to Disneyland. It has to be like you're going to a theme park. It has to be like, it's not about like Casablanca and Gremlins. It's about like Death Race 2000 and the Monster Squad. You need people who are like the equivalent of like record store hipsters who know the deep cuts, who know who Fred Decker and who know who like Monty Hellman, Fred Decker are, to design these things. And it's not about throwing in all these little hipster things. It's just that sensibility. You can still hype a Jaws re-release or Alien you can still do the major stuff, but you just have to have that kind of sensibility and that sense of history and knowledge and attention to detail when you're putting these things together. And I think people feel it and they want to be a part of it, and the young people want to be a part of it. And again, what the hell is with these luxury loungers? What kind of an audience are you trying to, get in with these with definitely not young people? I'm thinking about an audience, grabbing an audience that's much younger than I am and getting them into these theaters. And it just feels like the theaters are just going such the wrong direction. They're saying, they see the Drafthouse. They see the success and the growth of the Drafthouse, and they see the Drafthouse going like this in the next 10 years. They see it going like, choo, that the Drafthouse is becoming, you could have a Drafthouse, in every state, a few Drafthouses in every state. It could be this, phenomenon that is going, again, like this. The Drafthouse has already gone like this, and now I could go like this because of what all the crap the other theaters are pulling, their lack of taste. And so what are they going to do? They look at the Drafthouse. Oh, let's get pizza. Let's get beer. Let's get chair. Let's increase. Let's make a And it's happening in fast food right now, this kind of fast casual where we're trying to make a little more high-end experience. And I don't think they're learning the lesson. The lesson in the draft house is that you have to have taste when you're doing this stuff. You have to have taste. You have to have programmers. You have to have people, and you have to have them in every theater. They have to have taste. The curtains that are just that little indicator, they don't care. They don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't care about the experience. And even in a Dolby cinema, I went to see Blade Runner 2049 in a Dolby cinema. And at the beginning of when you go into a Dolby, the AMC Dolby experience, a Dolby cinema, it's supposed to have these laser projectors. And during the experience, there's a part where the laser projector goes black, and it's like, the projector is still on. And you're supposed to be amazed because the screen is supposed to be completely black, and you're not even supposed to see where the screen ends and the edges of the theater begin. And I could see it. I can pretend I didn't, but I saw it. Okay? Something was wrong. And also the ambient light levels in that damn Dolby theater. There's this strange blue light that just, it's the pits. It's depressing. So I think what's going to save the theaters, what's going to save the movie theaters is something that they just cannot grasp, which is just taste. It's like Microsoft versus Apple. It's taste. It's a certain kind of sensibility. It's a certain people with a love of film, not just people who pretend to have a love of film, who just kind of, just go by the numbers. Just give the audience what they want. Big chairs for their fat ass. We'll give them that. We'll give them this. We'll give them Starbucks in the lobby. We'll do that ain't gonna cut it, man. That's not it, Oh, and by the way, I was thinking, I ended this video and I was thinking, there's one other argument that I see in a lot of these letters that people write to the theater chain and in their responses. There's this argument of, directors are releasing their movies in so many different aspect ratios that there's no way that we can mask for these different aspect ratios. We want to maintain the artistic integrity. Now, first of all, that's number one, saying we've got too many aspect ratios and we're too lazy. Okay, that's a very weird argument from a theater chain. There's just too many. It's just too much. So screw it, I guess, right? Number one, that speaks to willful ignorance. It's either ignorance or deceptiveness, because now it is true. First of all, it is true that directors are releasing their films in sometimes within the movie, aspect ratios will change. Christopher Nolan films, there will be certain parts in IMAX and certain parts, and sometimes the aspect ratios may change. The Michael Bay Transformer films, where literally sometimes between shots, the aspect ratios will change. They'll get wider or shorter. Or the recent film, They Come at Night, or It Comes at Night, or They Come at Night, where throughout the film it gets narrower. The black bars on the top of the screen get narrower, and things get tighter throughout the film in order to increase tension somehow. So, that's correct. The issue is, though, that the digital film print, the DCP, the digital cinema package, what you can think of as a digital film print, is just like a regular 35mm film print in that it's a set aspect ratio. It's a set size. It's either flat or scope. And there's a lot more leeway in a DCP. There's a lot of weird aspect ratios and things that a DCP actually supports. If you pull up the papers, it really technically supports a lot of different stuff. Some stuff that some digital projectors can't even deal with. But it doesn't change the fact that a DCP, which it's a digital film print, it's a set size. So you just set the curtains to flat or scope, And then if there's aspect ratio changes, all that is that there are black bars on the sides or the top of that change during the presentation of the film. The format of film, it's like you don't go from like a 1080p film to a 720p film. That's not the way that resolution works. It's a set locked in. It's not like if you get a video file, there'll be parts of the video file that are 720p and 1080p. No. It's set. There may be black bars that increase or decrease during it. But the digital film print is like a real film print. And so you should be able to set the curtains like a real film print. And in that presentation, there may be little tiny black bars on the side or the bottom, but not what we're seeing here. So that argument doesn't hold any weight, and and in fact, that's a little bit ridiculous. That's a little bit of a spin doctor thing that in fact, that kind of almost inspired me to make the film, because I see these letters being published, and people go, well, the theater's right, Michael Bay, how can you keep up with and I'm like, dude, you don't adjust the curtains every 2 seconds when Michael Bay changes the black bars at the bottom of the screen. You set it for scope or flat, and the way it's been done for 100 years. This is ridiculous. Come on, stop the insanity, Susan Powter.